And now, the time fight fans all across the globe have been waiting for. It's the main card. We back at it again. It's your man, the voice with Philly's finest. The man who tries to always get a new hat every time I get a new hat so that he could try to be like me. And be talking about some Broad Street. We'll just rough.
That's what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it's Smoke O'Clock and we back. I'm here with the man, the myth, the legend, hater of the decade.
Wow.
Voice. How you feeling, Voice, as you continue to jock my style in the best way possible from your St. Louis manor?
Blackjack manor, to be specific. I actually feel good. I feel good because, though misguided, your statement about me being the hater of the year or the hater of the decade, it there's a certain sense of pride of being the best, you know, even if it is in pointing out the flaws and errors of others. It's good to be on top.
Well, technically you're not on top because there's hater of the decade, there's hater of the year, but then there's hater of the century. So I didn't give you as much credit as you wanted to, but I gave you enough to know that you were a hater. So there we go.
We still got 80 years.
Technically, you're kind of like the Tank Davis of hateration and holleration.
No. Never.
Because sometimes you quit mid-hate, so there we go.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you saw how the big blue popped up? Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have an amazing show for y'all today, man. We're so glad to be back. It's the main card, Smoke O'Clock, bringing you the best in combat sports. We about to get into it. One of the best segments you'll ever see, KOs and low blows. Voice, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it. Now, as we just talked about Voice's predecessor in the boxing ring, Tank Davis. The fight is off.
Wish he could be me.
The fight is off. In a bout that we've talked about many times here on the main card, the Jake Paul Tank Davis bout was canceled days before their scheduled November 14th bout. Now, it's been a lot of back and forth. We've seen the tirades from Jake Paul, but I want to get the myth, the legend. I want to get your take on this, Voice, because no one has a better take on this than you. We've talked about this from the beginning. On this show, we both talked about how we were actually against this fight. And now that it's over, what do you make of this? And what do we make of Tank Davis's career in the ring?
What I make of the fight being over is that boxing won. Because true boxing fans didn't want to see this. And like the business of boxing really didn't want to see this. It was a freak show of epic proportions, and it fell apart because of the people involved. So from that perspective, it's really good. And then on top of that, which was something I was going to talk about later, but we'll just go ahead and talk about it now. The fact that Jake Paul is scrambling and being turned down like everywhere by fighters speaks a lot to the possible longevity of him fighting. I still think the MVP promotions will continue to go on, and he'll continue to promote other people fighting, but I think that they may have reached their limit. At least the boxing community has kind of reached its limit with him and these fights. Again, do I respect him as someone who takes the art and the craft of fighting seriously? Absolutely. His matchmaking, though questionable, it makes sense regarding what fighters with his level of experience would be doing. It just leaves a bad taste in the mouth of many people in the boxing community. And the fact that Bud said, I'm not jumping in there for a quick payday. I'm focused on possibly Janabek after the video got leaked of a promo that was created for them in Bud's hometown of Omaha, Nebraska. Francis turning it down really surprised me because like that's a fight that could be a good fight for him. He hasn't fought in a while. It'd be should be a fairly easy payday. And for the MMA community, it gives us a chance of righting the wrongs, all the atrocities that he has put on our community. He may have said no, though, because of the fighters that he normally picks to fight. And that's probably why he said no. It's like, what? You coming to me after Javante? No, it's like, that's stupid. I wouldn't do that. That's dumb. That's beneath me. Knowing that Jake picks people that he believes he can beat. So if he's picking, with the exception of Bud, he can't touch Bud. He may think that he has a bit of a size advantage, but Bud just showed with Canelo, size doesn't matter. It's the skills that pay the bills. Francis may have been so upset because, like, you pick washed up people who can't fight. And you talking to me?
Yeah.
Ryan Garcia probably would have done it, but the person who writes his checks said no, being Oscar De La Hoya, and that's understandable. Ryan is with Golden Boy. Golden Boy is exclusively on the zone. This is not the zone. Can't happen. Nate Diaz, like, I fought you already, and thanks for the offer, but no, it's not the time. When Nate Diaz is turning down the fight, Mr. I made my name jumping in last minute fighting Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, the Stockton, what's up? I'm ready to scrap anytime says no. That says a lot. And then last but not least, Andre Ward, who every year says he's going to fight somebody. For him to say no, too, it says a lot about where Jake Paul may be regarding these promotions.
It's understandable. So is it quite possible we've possibly seen two in-ring careers ultimately come to an end, even though Jake may have, one or two fights there that may not be of importance? Is it possible that his career, along with Tank's career, may be over?
Yeah, well, we knew that this was the end of Tank's career. He was like, look, I'm done with this. I don't want to fight. For all intents and purposes, Lamont Roach beat me. I've been exposed. So I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to do it. And this was his cash out. This was his way of leaving. This was his golden parachute, but it had a hole in it. Unfortunately, a hole that he punched in it, pardon the pun. And now, he's left without that windfall. Just looking at this whole thing, especially we're talking about Jake. And one of the things that Jake has been wonderful for when it comes to the world of combat sports is promoting women's fights. Now, all of a sudden, when this comes out, oh, he's a scumbag, he's a this, and I can't believe it. He said he changed, and, he's just no good dude. You act like this is the first time he has had a charge of domestic violence with a female. He was arrested for assaulting a man in 2019, and in February of 2020, so a year later, he got caught on camera at a celebrity basketball game for the Super Bowl because you couldn't keep your hands off of your girlfriend. Excuse me. Then later that year, hit and run. Domestic violence again in December of 2022. Domestic violence again in July of 2025 with the girl putting excrement on a toothbrush and all that, and him saying, no, it's not me, and it may not have been him, it may have been her. Either way it goes, you keep picking people that you have these kinds of issues with, and then while you're training for the fight, you are literally 2 weeks away from the fight. You see your ex and you get into it with her, but you do it in her place of business. What is her place of business? A strip club. The heck you doing in a strip club 2 weeks before the fight? Oh, because it was a joke from the beginning. That's why. Makes sense.
I mean, if this is the end for Tank, it's a sad end for a career that many thought he could have been, ended up being like a pound for pound one of the greatest if he had continued on and he had the focus. We heard things that Floyd Mayweather had said about him previously when they parted ways. So, maybe there's some things to some of the things that Floyd was saying. Either way, that bout has been ended. Although be on the lookout as Jake Paul has agreed to do something else with Netflix this year in replacement of that. Now, moving on from one controversy to another one, Ariel Helwani sat down with Yahoo Sports Betting Ben Fawkes to unpack the latest scandal that's got the fight game under federal surveillance. The FBI is involved. Now, this is UFC's gambling controversy that actually the person who's in the center of the storm, Isaac Durgarian. Now, he's a fighter who's raised ref.
Yeah.
Bulgarian. Now, he's a fighter whose bouts raised red flags with suspicious betting activity. The lines moved fast, the money poured in, and then the fight didn't happen the way it was supposed to. So when the betting market moves like that, it's not just the fans reacting. It ends up being that the insiders are reacting too. Now, even Dana White has gotten involved with this. His response was measured, but it was firm. He did confirm that the FBI is involved and made it clear the UFC is cooperating, and they've even removed the fighter from the UFC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
But the question is, how deep does this go? I mean, Ariel Helwani has shown why he's a journalist, and his YouTube video on this went into great detail. But I want to get your thoughts on this, just from your perspective of everything you've seen from that interview to what Dana White has said in the media.
Well, unfortunately, this isn't the first time that there's been an accusation of fight fixing. One of the most prominent ones, and really probably the first one for the UFC, was a fight where Derek Minner had the same things happening. He all of a sudden, a bunch of money came in on a first round loss for him, and sure enough, that's what happened. Granted, he was injured, and he just knew that I was not going to be able to do what I needed to do. So he went in and he did give it his all, and he got knocked out. But this led to the banishment of the James Krause, who is a phenomenal coach and was doing great things within the sport. He can't come around the UFC anymore because of all of this. And that investigation is still ongoing. And it was like a couple of years ago. So again, it's not the first time. Unfortunately, it probably won't be the last because it's such a low barrier to entry when it comes to, these fights. This is a fight in the Apex. It's not even on the main card, I don't believe. I remember seeing it, or if it was on the main card, it was like a fight or two into it. It was a throwaway fight card with a fighter making pennies, which that opens you up for these kinds of things. If you're making 12 and 12 and somebody offers you 70 grand, you might throw the fight. If I can make as much as I would make before for 3 fights, shoot, more than that. 5 fights. Yeah, 5 times 12. Well, no, it's 24. But anyway, yeah, so for about 3 fights or so, you're telling me I can make that in one fell swoop and it's no taxes? Where do I sign? So it's unfortunate. And what has been interesting are all the people who came out was like, yeah, I've been approached, I've been approached, I've been approached, I've been approached. And Dana was like, where's all this coming from now? Why wouldn't you say anything to me about it? Maybe because if you're being approached, it's by some unsavory people, and if they came to you about it, they might like lose their lives. It'd just be better for them to say no and go on about their business. You got power, but you left Boston fleeing Whitey Bulger and went to Vegas in the first place. So you know how the mob works, so let's be real about things. And then also, if I do that, I got the government all in my business. I may have some other things going on and I don't want them digging into. So, it makes sense for them not to say anything. It also makes sense for him to send his squad out and have everybody who said something online pull their stuff down. They all had the same story. That was a joke. I was just playing. I was never approached by anybody. Everybody got the same story. Y'all can't mix it up a little bit. But anyway, it's unfortunate. It's not the first, and it won't be the last.
It's kind of rough to hear, but then again, it's one of those things where you're looking at so many sports. Everyone's advertising sports betting, so why should it be a surprise? As we recently saw, ESPN and Penn recently just ended their contract early, their 10-year contract. So it's just one of those things where it's like I think a lot of these companies have to be more accountable and realize when you're putting this out here and you have athletes who are naturally gamblers who go to these type of things, this type of stuff is going to happen. So the worms will kind of open up. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out going forward. If there's any updates, we'll definitely talk about it here on the main card. You may end up, catching one of our short videos where you give you a proper explanation of what else is going on at that point in time.
Yeah, speaking of ESPN, at the time of recording, they just inked a deal with DraftKings. So it is a part of the business, and it's not the first gambling expose that we've had this year within the past couple weeks. Same thing with basketball. So with the proliferation of legalized gambling, it opens up these doors. The one thing that they say is good about it, which I could definitely see, is that you're able to see the lines, where if it was the underhanded stuff like before, you wouldn't necessarily know. So they're able to see and expose these things. But you say they're gamblers. Absolutely. As a fighter, you gamble with your life every time you enter the arena of combat. So it is, it's part and parcel. Yeah. Now, some people who don't necessarily gamble with their lives because of the agreed nature of said activity are professional wrestlers. So let's get on into that ring walk and talk about. Hey, you said that I'm on the road to being hater of the year. You said no, the decade. So we still got 80 years. Just give it some time. I have the current number one spot, and I don't see anybody knocking me off the throne anytime soon. But what a night with Saturday Night Main Event recently. And I really love that things happen the way that they happen at Saturday Night Main Event, because it's already been kind of this PLE-ish event, but it still kind of felt like, it's a big event, but, I should say it's a notable event, but it's just another event. With having two titles that were earned during it, I think it gives a lot more validity to and makes the desire to see Saturday Night Main Event that much more. We had a vacant title that was snatched up by CM Punk. So we'll start with him. Now, to me, it seemed as if he was on the road to acquiring this title the moment that his lovely wife, AJ Lee, stepped back into the world of professional wrestling. He won the vacant title against another huge babyface in Jey Uso, who he then teamed up with on Monday night. How long do you see that alliance lasting? And then I've got a follow-up question after that.
Well, I think what you're seeing right now is the lead up to Survivor Series War Games. So while him and Jey Uso are teaming together, expect to see 2 to 3 more teammates, possibly a Roman Reigns, possibly a Jimmy Uso, could be a Jacob Fatu, could be a number of different people tagging up against Division, Logan Paul, as we saw the end of Monday Night Raw, saw that happen, and then one additional person. War Games is something that happens every year. It's one of the best events. It's a 4-on-4, sometimes 5-on-5 cage match, so to speak, double cage that happens. So we wouldn't get a championship match possibly until maybe December, January's Saturday Night Main Event going into Royal Rumble. Now, as many of you know who follow my TikTok, I am not a fan of Saturday Night's Main Event. I feel like it's a PLE, but it's not, because it's usually a waste. The events aren't usually as good. We've seen Goldberg job out to Gunther for the World Heavyweight title, which was a wasted match. Usually Saturday Night Main Event is very predictable. What I did like about this was we did see championships change hands, including CM Punk's, which was good. But it'll be interesting to see. It looks like for the next few weeks leading up to the end of November that we're going to see Jey Uso, CM Punk, and additional others come in to tag against Division in that War Games matchup.
Okay. So, like you said, it looks as if this alliance will be in place, for about a month or so. That makes sense. Second question about this, though, just, me being who I am and liking to stir the pot, how likely is it that all of this collaboration that they've been doing and all this time that they're spending together, because they were partners last year in War Games too, how likely is it that one or both men turn heel? Preferably, I would love to see Jay turn heel. I think that would be phenomenal, because the storyline is already kind of built in. Yeah. You keep getting right to the point, and then things keep getting snatched away, and just been like, forget it, I'm going full heel and turn over. That's a storyline that I could get behind, because I see it there. But again, how likely do you think that this could be?
Looks like you've been watching my TikToks, voice. That's absolutely where I'm hoping that it goes. Right now, we're looking at Jey Uso, who, for better or for worse, has kind of become a character of himself. Yes, we love the eating. Yes, we love all that, but we want to see Jey Uso get back to being right-hand man main event. Yes, he's one of the most over individuals in WWE because of his theme song, but people have forgotten how great Jey Uso is at storytelling and being in the ring. We have come to forget how great he was during the Bloodline saga and him being the main character. We forget how it was with him leading up to WrestleMania against Gunther, a crash out version of Jey Uso, not even necessarily a full blown heel. Because I think as wrestling fans, we've gotten so far past the heel babyface thing where it's just kind of like, listen, you either want to smoke at all times or you don't. I would love to see Jey Uso get back to being him. And this time, when he goes back to crash out, I want to see Jey crash out on Roman. I don't want anything to feel like Jey is going to let anything stand in his way. I don't want to see any hesitation. I want to see Jey. Think of this. I want to see Jey around the time where him and Roman were at the height of their rivalry, and Jay was giving him chair shots on the daily. I want to see that, Jay. I want to see Jay where, unfortunately, Jimmy has to be a sacrifice, and maybe it even makes Jimmy stronger and puts Jimmy on tier with Jay also. We need to continue to enjoy the yeeting and everything he does because, yes, that's for the kids. But we need to get back to the strong storyline Jay Uso that deserves to be at the top of those WrestleMania cards. Because the one thing about the internet wrestling community is you can have a great match this week, a great match next week, and by the third week, they're going to hate you. So let's give them a reason to hate you and give us a compelling storyline. And I feel like that Bloodline saga is going to come back. Ultimately, I would love to see the story finish out being Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns for a world title, and that be that.
Now, there's another someone listed here, another person who obtained a title at Saturday Night Main Event. Real quick, it'd be so fitting for Main Event Jay to get a title at Saturday Night Main Event. But that's an aside. We're moving on to Jade Cargill. She finally has secured one of the main titles, the major titles. Is it too soon?
I think it's too late. I think she should have won at SummerSlam. Tiffany Stratton's title reign was, as far as I'm concerned, disappointing. You have to understand the difference between Tiffany Stratton on the main roster and her in NXT. Her NXT run was incredible because they allowed her to be hurt as a heel, and her in-ring work was incredible. You know, she's a high flyer. I think this thing with Jade kind of went on too long, and because it went on too long, there were changes that were made, including Naomi winning the title from Io Sky instead of Tiffany Stratton, which originally I believe she was supposed to win it, face Jade and or Bianca, and then it goes from there. Now where we are, we see Jade as the champion, and then we're wondering where she goes next with this strong heel persona. Ultimately, we all know what's going to happen. Bianca Belair comes back. It sets up an amazing match, possibly for Royal Rumble. We get Jade and Bianca at Royal Rumble, maybe even get part 2 at WrestleMania. But I think the ultimate end game here with Naomi out due to pregnancy is Jade and Bianca are on a crash course for that World Heavyweight title. There's not really too many other people that you want to put included in that story who hasn't come back yet and who's currently on the SmackDown roster.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, thank you for your insights as always. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will discuss the title fight with no title. Ortiz and Lubin taking on Virgil Ortiz. This is the main card. Keep it locked.
And we are back. Boys, it's time. You ready? It's Saturday night. It's Fort Worth, Texas. The Dickies Arena. The lights will be on, but the heat is coming from the ring. Let him tell it. This is a legacy type fight for me. A young, undefeated, furious fighter. Who's that fighter? That's Ortiz and Lubin talking. And he's not just selling the fight, boys. He's selling a moment. It's a moment that could flip the script on everything we thought we knew about the 154-pound division. Now, Lubin's been here before. Now, we've seen him recently dance with Fedora. He dropped him. He felt the fire, but then he got burned. Now, he says, I'm in my prime now. I'm not chasing ghosts. He said he's chasing greatness. Now, ranked with the WBC since 2019, Fight Eliminators felt like the appetizer. Now he feels like he's hungry for the main course. Now, of course, that main course standing in his way is Virgil Ortiz Jr., the WBC interim champ, the betting favorite, the man with the plan. Ortiz isn't just trying to win. He's trying to move on. Jaron Ennis is waiting in the wings, but Lubin's not here to play gatekeeper. He said he's actually here to kick down the doors off the hinges. He said, beating somebody like Virgil, I basically be replacing him. That's Lubin again. He's being confident, calculated, cold, and he knows what's at stake. At this point, it doesn't feel like he's asking for the respect. He's just trying to take it. Now, Virgil Ortiz, he had a different standpoint on it. He says he's ready. He says he took the fight, respect. But on November 8th, he will see why this is my division. Now, Oscar De La Hoya said it best. You have to go out there and prove. Take risks, take chances. That's ultimately what this is. And this is for both fighters. It's two fighters in their prime. And something that's different from most boxing bouts that we've seen in the last few years. There's no ducking. There's no waiting. There's just war. So, Voice, with all this hype and this build-up, when the smoke clears in Fort Worth, who's walking out with the crown? Is it going to be Ortiz with the fire or Lubin with the hammer?
Well, as you know, I don't predict fights. I just present the information because in the world of fight sports and sports in general, you got a 50-50 chance. So you just don't know what's going to happen. And, you know, we've seen in fights like Buster Douglas versus Mike Tyson. We've seen, for some people, the belief that Tyson was going to beat Holyfield. You know, we've seen people be upset often. So I don't pick the fights. Again, just sharing who does what. Ortiz and Lubin. It's a very interesting fight in that, you know, Lubin says, yeah, I feel disrespected. I feel like this is all about, you know, him. And, you know, I'm just somebody here that, you know, he's fighting against to get him ready to fight Boots. Like, no, I'm not here to get him ready. You know, I'm here to fight, and I'm here to take him on. They had a nice back and forth on their face-off, respectful, but a nice back and forth there. And he's not the only one who feels disrespected. Ortiz also feels disrespected. He feels like, dude, you coming to me like, you know, I'm the big thing. No, I'm still on the way up. I'm not the man. Though, again, you're the one that's undefeated. Lubin has fought for titles on more than one occasion and lost. So for Lubin, this is really a chance for him to say, I'm here. And like, I'm one who really, you know, you need to look at. Like, don't overlook me. I'm here, and, you know, I'm about business. For Ortiz, it's a chance for him to get to one of those really big fights that we've been looking for him. You know, has he had some decent fights in the past? Yes, he has, but you know, there have been people, i.e. Boots Ennis, that we've wanted to see him fight at 147, and then that never came to pass. As a matter of fact, he's not fought a reigning champion ever. And based on his skills, it feels as if he should have already been there, which is why, again, this is the title fight without a title. This is the biggest fight currently that can be made in super welterweight or junior middleweight, whichever one you want to call it. 154 pounds, that's what we'll call it. This is one of the biggest fights that can be made because of the implications of the fight. What will take place after the fight? For Ortiz, I don't know that Lubin would have the same path. It's like, yeah, I'm here to take his spot. I don't know if Boots is gonna fight you. Just there are other people out there with actual belts, because again, this is not for a full-fledged title. Both Lubin and Boots are interim champions. It will make more sense, if he cannot make this fight, for him to go on and fight one of the, or a couple of the full-fledged champions and go ahead and start unifying. You know, but again, for Lubin, when he stepped up against Fundora, he went down. When he stepped up against Charlo, he went down. Now, granted, he did face former champions like Banana Rosario, and was good in that fight and was able to win that fight. But when the lights have been the brightest, he's faded a bit. And this is really do or die. Where with Ortiz, with it being a first loss, I still think there's room and ability to come back. Will it take longer for him to get the kinds of fights that he's looking for? Yes. So there's a lot on the line for both men. The Hammer is coming to bring it. Ortiz is really fired up about it, kind of like a Michael Jordan obsession of making up stuff to ensure that he's mad. But on Saturday night, you should see a very spirited fight because both men have a lot on the line.
Virgil looking at everything like, I took that personally. Now, I mean, I understand what you're saying about Lubin. One thing I have to ask that we as boxing fans love that we don't see as much. He's taking the hard fights. He's not ducking any kind of smoke, win, lose, or draw. He's walking into it and he's like, I'm here for it. Mm-hmm. I know that those two losses are large, even though Fundora he almost had the win. Should we be punishing him for these losses, considering the fact that nobody else is really willing to take these type of fights?
Well, I think he's willing to take the fights because of the losses. He doesn't have anything to protect as far as the record is concerned. So he's in a position where, this makes sense. I really think it's more that than anything. Am I glad to see it? Yes, because as someone who follows and covers MMA, I know that a loss doesn't mean that you're a loser. It just means that someone had your number. Styles make fights, and it may be that this person's style just trumped your style, whereas you fight someone else, someone else of note, and you can get them. Just like Andy Ruiz got Anthony Joshua because it was a perfect situation. Joshua wasn't taking him seriously. He was fighting for the first time in the U.S., not able to follow the routine that he normally does. When they fought again, shut him out. So, any given day, anytime, anything can happen. But I'm glad that Lubin is willing to make these fights because he is a good fighter. He is someone who does carry a name and carry some cachet and cause you to want to see him fight.
Awesome take. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure that you tune in to that bout. Virgil Ortiz, of course, is undefeated. Winner of 23, 21 of those, I believe, are by knockouts. That's going to be an amazing fight. Make sure y'all tune in and check in with the Voice. A lot of times Voice scores these bouts and he can give you the best perspective that you're seeing that's not biased like a lot of these other pundits do. That's the best that we actually have for you this week. Some of the best fights. But ladies and gentlemen, what we like to do, we give you the meat and potatoes, and then we have something called Final Fights. These are like the sides. This is like your mac and cheese, your yams. These are other bouts that you should look out for this weekend. Voice is going to provide you for those. Voice, tell us what else we should be looking forward to this weekend.
All right. Well, let's give it its proper due and give a little bouncy fight music. So on that same card that Ortiz and Lubin headline, you also have Darius Fulgham on there fighting David Stevens. You got Joshua Edwards fighting Zeno Zoris, and on the MMA end, you have a Apex special between Gabriel Bonfim and Randy Rude Boy Brown at welterweight. A couple other fights on that card: Muslim Salikov and Uros Medic. That should be good. Gabriel's family member Ishmael is fighting as well. When you have family fighting on cards, that can either really inspire you or it can scare you. So it'll be interesting to see how all that works out. Hyder Hamil is on that card. Former title challenger Maya Bueno Silva is on the card. So you got some decent fights on that card. And then again, the fight for, or I should say in Texas, as well as a couple fights on Friday. Pro Box has a fight, as well as on Saturday, there'll be a fight over in Melbourne, Australia on the zone. So as normal, because the fight game doesn't stop. Unlike other sports that have seasons, when it comes to combat, it's always smoke and cloud.
Awesome, great. Thanks for that voice. Now, before we end our show, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for tuning in with us. We want to give you all the last words and speak on the passing recently of someone who has
Yes. The person of impact is indeed none other than Victor Conte. Victor Conte is known famously and infamously for his involvement in sports. Began his career, now granted he's a doctor, but began his career as a bass player for the Bay Area group Tower of Power. Then he got into supplementation and became infamous for the Balco scandal, of which he paid his debt to society, went to prison for 4 months, paid his fines and things of that nature. He was attached to a number of different people, including Marion Jones, including Barry Bonds, and a number of others. But we all like a good comeback story. And that's what Victor Conte was doing with his final years. He was doing his best to write a phenomenal comeback story, saying, yes, I made things that beat the system. If you all hadn't just exposed, my stuff, I still beat the system. It wasn't that my people popped dirty. It's that my procedures got exposed. So let me push things to the limit, not do the wrong that I did before. Let me help these athletes with becoming all that they can be and getting the most out of their bodies, while also exposing the loopholes in the different testing platforms so that we don't have the cheating. Yes, what I did was wrong. And to make up for it, like some people who we led off talking about the FBI and Dana White, so many people will get into government service after being caught doing the things that they're doing. It's like, you did that real good. Why don't you come over here and help us catch some other people who are doing the things that you're doing? He wasn't made to do that. He volunteered to do it and built his life around doing things the right way. How do you know that he has done things the right way? Just look at some of the names that he's been associated with post Valco. Terrence Bud Crawford, Devin Haney, the GWOAT Clarissa Shields, Bam Rodriguez, who that dude is phenomenal. And so many others, Andre Ward from the Bay Area, and the list goes on and on. His impact definitely has been felt. His presence will be missed. And again, he's got a checker pass, so people may feel differently about him, and that's understandable. As I try my best to do, I encourage others to do. Find the good, focus on that. Salute to the memory of Victor Conte.
Absolutely. Thank you for that voice. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us another great week for another great episode of the main card. It's MTMV Sports. This is what we do. We have a number of shows for you, from the full 94, the main card, Time's Up, Red and Bold, Not the Same Sports Show. There's a number of shows. Shout out to Miss Marvel, who was recently out in Vegas. There you go. So we have a number of shows here for you. If you follow us, like, share, and subscribe on all platforms, you can take us on all platforms with you. If you're wanting to listen to us on your favorite podcast platform, this is what we do. We appreciate you tuning in every week. That's all we got. Boys, take us out.
Until next time, fight the good fight.
What's going on, family? It's your man, Wildress.
And it's your man, the myth, the legend, the voice.
And you just finished watching the main card on the MTMV network.
Yeah, for more great shows just like this, smash the subscribe button and keep fighting.